Welcome back everyone. You're watching 2 training weeks today from September 8th and 15th. I'm a little bit behind. Life's been busy, so we're gonna whip out the 2 final training weeks before the Nationals competition week. So exciting times, but also a kinda rough couple weeks. At some point here near the end of the first week, I got sick and I tweaked my back a bit. So we're gonna take things slowly, one step at a time. Now, I did promise last week you're gonna see a hell of a stoop half, and I think actually we're about to dive right into it, unless it was on Tuesday. So you're gonna see a funny one in just a bit. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Misha, and here I share my love for gymnastics. You can see every single turn I take on the equipment, and I've been doing this stuff for about 5 years. But that right there I've been doing for about 20, and that may have been the closest one I've ever done to handstand. I mean, it's pretty much there. There's just a little shoulder angle. So I thought I would go a bit harder in the next one, pull here a bit harder, and check that out, fam. Hands completely off the bar, probably like 5-10 centimeters off the bar. Managed to find the bar on the way down just to hold on to it a little bit so that I could land feet first. But otherwise, if I didn't find the bar on the way down, that was a head first landing from, you know, around the 3-meter height. So thank heavens I was able to find that bar on the way down and turn myself around the right way up at least a little bit. So there you go, wild stoop halves to start off the week. Feel like I just cut the usual introduction out with that stoop half. But so weekly focus, routines, weekly highlights, routines, and especially the following week you're gonna see the first high bar routine of this entire build up, the first full difficulty, full send high bar routine. So we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But one thing that was also a minor focus from this new P-bar construction, always good to have a stick, fam, always good to have a stick, is this reverse turn. So as you can see, it's a bit unstable, and I kind of want to do the version where you turn on the way up when you've just about reached handstand. I don't want to go to handstand, hold it, and then do the reverse turn. Now that right there was a decent one. And as I mentioned in the last video, if you go back to that clip, if you go back to just before the dismount, you'll see that I have to get my fingers turned. Like right there, you see my index finger is like completely open. I'm unable to turn my wrist outwards enough. And every little shuffle you do with your hands or your fingers is 0.1 per shuffle. So what I'm doing to strategically eliminate that 0.1 is I'm just, after the reverse turn, holding the handstand with a weird hand placement. And on the downward swing, on the descent towards the dismount, I'm quickly shifting my hand back in a comfortable position so that I can push into the bar during the rise of the double pike. So if you watch closely after the reverse turns, that's something you're gonna notice. You're gonna notice that my index and middle fingers are like, it's almost like I'm holding a handstand on the floor. They're quite a ways in front of me. And on the way downwards from the swing, we might see one here. You see index finger shift. So that was too early. That would have been a 0.1 right there. What I'm trying to do is shift it on the way down towards the dismount. So that was another bit of focus. Okay, if I'm doing routine, that must mean that we're sitting at a Tuesday. So this was exactly 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember too much of this. And I'm kind of going cold turkey today, as they say. I made this video last week, but I just haven't gotten around to doing the narration. Oh man, we're way over on the giant DME. That's like a probably 3 and a 1 at minimum. A little bit of control on the peach, no hand shuffles there, that was good. Massive use of strength there, so that's probably a 3 for the use of strength. I don't know how much it would be for the angle of the catch. What, maybe another 3? You kind of have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. Even one like medium mistake and you're just far from your full potential. And then probably a 3 and a 3 there. No prep for landing, chest down, 0.3 step forward. You got to be perfect in this day and age, fam, otherwise you get slammed. So what can you do? You do your best, and you can't control all of it every single time. So Tuesday, so at this point I think I've got 2 or 3 reps of the full routine with 4 releases going from Coleman, so from the second skill, but I still haven't got a single one from Pagan onwards. I keep on messing up that pike gaylord. Like I mentioned last week, the giant speeds are getting a bit mixed up in my head, in my body, so I'm gianting a bit faster than I should be for the piked gaylord. Is this I think, yeah, I just presented. So this is Tuesday's attempt at a set. Decent legs there, nothing too crazy. Decent legs there as well. So here, this controlling the speed here, that's a bit too fast. That's a bit too fast. I touched the bar, but not enough to latch on. So re-chalked, finish the routine from there. So this is, unless I stick the double out full, this is a 5-4 difficulty set. And it reminds me of 2009 World Championships. I think I may have told the story before, but there was a gymnast called Alexander Batinkov. And in 2009, I remember watching from the stands during the qualifications. He did a Pagan, a Coleman. This was also the same guy that first connected Pagan Coleman, like over a decade ago, I think. So a Pagan, a Coleman, a tucked Gaylord 2, and the tucked Gaylord as the 4th release. And I remember distinctly, he caught the tucked Gaylord too close, wasn't able to giant out of it, had to go down to the bar and finish his routine off with just a cast into the rest of his routine, which is obviously the same as falling. And it would have been a shame, because back then a routine that unique was just nowhere to be found. There was nobody doing releases forwards and backwards over the bar. And to be honest, besides Alexander Batinkov, the only people that you saw doing Pagans were Alias Pagan himself, Vlasius Maris from Greece, and Nikolai Krukov from Russia was competing the regular Gaylord at that time. I think actually by then he had already retired. Yeah, I think Krukov retired after 2008 Olympics, so he had just retired. So you didn't see any forwards releases at all, and then here comes a guy from Bulgaria doing 2 releases forwards and 2 releases backwards over the bar. And I wish I had recorded it, but when I was watching the routine, obviously I didn't know who I was looking at, so I wish I had recorded it. But here I am, how long's it been? 2019, 26 years later, doing a very similar routine construction. Something I thought that I would never even go in that direction. Back then I was able to Gaylord, but I was too scared to put it up in competition. My routine was just a Yamawaki and a Kachev, and that time in 2009 I remember I was balking on Kachev. Could not get myself to release a Kachev. And the other thing that made his routine unique, he also did a hop double twist, like a Rebelco to L half out, which you're not really allowed to do anymore. So he had an extremely unique routine for that time. Yeah, so 16 years later, somehow, the one thing on high bar I thought I'd never even go in that sort of a pathway in terms of skill repertoire. I ended up doing exactly that pathway. speaking on the '09 World, so I have some really exciting news. I got in touch with Fig because I remember that my first World Championships in '07 and every single Worlds after that, there were cameras on the judges' tables, and I was curious if they still had an archive of all the things they recorded back in those days, because as we know, you can find everything on the Fig YouTube from 2015 World Championships, every single routine that was done in the qualifications. So even those gymnasts that didn't make finals can still enjoy their performances forever just on the Fig YouTube. But before 2015, nowhere to be found. So I heard back, and Fig does still have archives of these performances. The problem is that the files are unnamed, so whoever's going to be trying to look specifically for my routines for me is going to take a long time, because you know, you have to pretty much go through all the videos. So potentially you could look up which subdivision New Zealand is in to narrow down the search, but if all goes well, if luck is on our side, I might be able to get all of my routines that I ever did at the World Championships from '07 Worlds, 2009 Worlds, and 10 Worlds, which was funny. I remember, like, just not good times for me. Not good times for me in those two World Championships. 2011 was like awesome World Championships. I missed 2013, and then 2014 would be the final World Championships that I'll be after. So we might be able to get footage of my younger days competing at the World Championships, and I'll be over the moon. I would be so happy to see those, because I've forgotten all of it. It'd be super interesting to see how my techniques changed, what routines I used to do. I probably remember most of my routines if you ask me, but yeah, there'll be some good nuggets in there for sure. Oh, is this the day where I smashed my leg into the bar? Actually, I'm going to take another picture. I took a picture of the bruise right after. I smashed my shin into the bar, and right now, literally half my leg is green. I think it was this day. So a quick word about the tweaked back. So on Thursday, I presume we're watching the following week already, but the Thursday of the first week, I was sick. And I think that had something to do with it, because when you're sick, your muscles are a bit stiff and tight. I pressed the button to record. I was going to do the stoop half in the Gaylord 2, my normal second warm-up turn. Somehow didn't realize I didn't press the button, so I didn't actually record it. But on the stoop half, back started hurting a little bit. I sat down and just got hit with like a really uncomfortable sensation. So I tried to stretch it out, but it just wasn't going away. So I thought, you know what? Let's just be smart, don't mess with it, and have a day off. Ended up having half a week off, because the next day I came in even sicker. But that smack right there doesn't look too bad from the side. But I'm going to try to include a photo for you guys of how my leg looked a day after. Yeah, you can tell I'm a bit off after being sick for a few days. So I had to play it safe, right? Obviously you get a bit weaker when you're sick, so I tried to do my best to come back on a Monday with some more basics, a bit more skills on the Tuesday, and really save my energy for another shot at a routine day on a Friday. All right, let's take a look at this left hand. So fingers, I still moved it. I still moved it. What am I doing? Still shifting those fingers. Yeah, it's like a little cheat. If you shift it on the way down during a skill, no problem. But if you're shifting it on a handstand, 0.1. It reminds me of a blind change. Like any shift of the hand on high bar, like let's say even if you're a junior and you're competing a half turn, which is not a skill you see in the senior levels, it's just a change of direction deduction. But if you shift your hands closer before your half turn, that's a 0.1. But if you shift your hand during the turning phase of the half turn or a blind change, no problem there. So first day back to releases after being sick, just pushed away from the Colemans. Same thing here. Wanted to slow down the speed. You'll notice that first giant was slower and still just barely get into the pad. So trying to slow this giant down a little bit and go a bit earlier here. Pretty much full reach. Stoked with the kick out. Those kick outs are beautiful. And it was here after this turn that I probably had the most massive push away on a pagan I've ever done. Look at the way I push from this bar fan. Find it, boom! You can just tell the change in speed away from the bar. Woof. Like a handstand push-up almost. That means my hands know exactly where the bar is in that particular turn. So a long sequence just to keep up my high bar routine cardio. Cardio is important for me. I noticed that when I do like a good 10 minutes on a hard setting on a bike, you know, where you're kind of wheezing and your heart's working, I'm definitely not as tired during routine days. But when I miss a week or so on the bike, I feel it immediately. Things start to get hard. So after that smack on the Tuesday, I was using Thursday just to go back to basics on this giant Diami and feel once again what is the most efficient way to generate the turn. Now that was, wow, that was pretty good. Maybe just a 0.1 leg separation there. But that's a massive point that I try to get across to, you know, the juniors that I coach and really anyone with these videos as well, is that I've been doing that skill now for a few years, and in some cases it's very close to being perfect by itself. But still, every now and then it degrades, takes a step back, and I get lost during it. The efficiency of the turn, there we go, look at that. Now I moved it, so nice and still, and then on the descent, shift the hand to a nice location. Let's see if I did it again. Yep, nice and still. So obviously I wouldn't dismount from that, but I turn my wrist on the way down and still crank a stuck double pike, fam. Let's go. So yeah, giant Diami went funny. So, you know, just take a step back, go to square one, feel the drill a couple of times, remember how to initiate the turn, create those or reestablish those checkpoints that I might be missing when I go for the whole thing, and build back up to the skill. Oh, 2 sticks in one day. So this was my pre-comp. I'm doing a bit more than I usually do on Thursdays, but that's because I had like half a week off before. So I'm prepping myself for one last attempt at routines. You'll see me throw the uniform on. We treated it just like a real comp with warming up high bar, warming up P bar, one touch P bar compete, one touch high bar compete. So you'll see that in a wee bit. Also want to use this opportunity to thank the Yi3, who's already been a supporter of mine on the Patreon for a long time, but Yi3 has sent me his nice ass kit, the training kit. I'm really looking forward to trying out that gear, and obviously in exchange for some social media, he's given me a hefty 500 Canadian towards my trip to World Championships this year. So massive shout out, massive thanks to the Yi3, the best gymnastics apparel brand out there by far. The amount of popularity it's gained. Most of my junior boys roll up to training every day with the Yi3 kit. So I'm going to be stoked to try on some of that Stoy apparel during my training sessions at World Championships and, you know, at the home gym as well. Oh man, that handstand was precise. If I could just get rid of the leg separation, not that one, but in the giant Diami. Well, all of them, of course. So is this what? Is this Friday? Lost track, or is this still? Yeah, this must be Friday because we already watched Thursday P-Bar. So I'm warming up here. We're warming up for a mock comp, for a run through. Not quite a stick today. So I rested for about 20 to 30 minutes, which is going to be nowhere near what I'm going to be resting during nationals in a couple of days, because I'm just doing the P-bar, high bar. After being sick, unfortunately, there's just no way I'm going to be able to add like a pommel or a ring set. So I was just scrambling just to get P-bar and high bar ready. So this is the one touch, like I said, after about a 30-minute wait. And then we presented, fam. Did the bar consistently under 2 minutes. And here we go. Alright, better elbows. They're still a little bit bent just at the moment of catch, but I locked them out pretty quick. Okay, no complaints, no complaints. Probably just a 1 and a 1. Caught slightly over, legs slightly apart. Slightly bent arms there. I think I came out a bit too close, but not bad. Just that leg separation for the peach 1 bar. How was this? 0.1 adjustment, but didn't shift the hand, so that's pretty decent. And not quite enough swing there, not quite enough swing. But hey, hit routine when it counts. Fam, this may just be the best pagan timer of my life. I've even slow-moed it. So this is the one touch warm-up. Man, if I could do them like this on the regular, like I could just watch that 100 times in a row. The straight line, the legs together on the kick out, but especially that straight line, it just makes it look so good. And boom, oh man. But as we know, that's not how it goes when I try to catch. So, still at this point, had not made a single set from the pagan. But as we know, I always like to push the boundaries, and I'm reminded, like I think start of the year I was saying during these videos that just to ease myself back into it after the surgery comeback in my first year back, just do like a tucked Gaylord 2 and a piked Gaylord routine. And here we are near the end of the year, and we've just sent it, fam. We're doing much more than just a tucked Gaylord 2 and a piked Gaylord. 4 releases, 2 forwards, 2 backwards. That's 2 half to pretty much horizontal. But there you have it, fam. First time catching all 4 releases like that in that sequence. Zoli needs to be a bit more turned over, but at this stage I'm like, okay, let's get this done. Let's finish it. So 5-4. 5-4, and the good news is increasing the start value will actually make the routine shorter and easier. I was over the moon. I was over the moon with that. Because the next, step would be that stoop half Gaylord 2, so that's going to take out a giant or 2 giants, because I'll probably start with the stoop half. So sitting at a good place. Sitting at a good place. If this is year 1 back to competition, I think we're sitting at a good place. So we have one routine rep under our belt before nationals. Tested out the bar just yesterday, and we're going to have another test today with a brand new rail, because they had the county's Manukau club nearby, and their bar's quite old, so the bounce is a bit iffy. But today is going to be another test with a brand new bar, fam, and we're going to send some releases. So massive thank you to everybody that's supported me in the Give a Little, and all the best next training week. You'll see the nationals. Till next time.